You think part of the reason people have these kinds of stories is maybe, I mean, we have this inherent idea of a leader, and I know we probably inherit these ideas too. They diffuse from Plato and from other, thinkers and writers and everything. But yeah, you think people have these kinds of stories to kind of remind themselves of who is a good leader in the body politic and, in my life.
If I look at this whole thing from the perspective of there being some sort of guiding force in the evolution of humanity, whether
Mm,
you want to call that God or you want to call that the unconscious or you want to call that the line of ancestors behind us that set up all these stories for us to inherit or whatever, any combination thereof.
mm,
If I look from that perspective, I would want there to be stories that showed people how life was supposed to be and why life was supposed to be that
mm.
way. Show people that rapacious kings will bring about their own destruction if you confront them the right way.
Mm.
You do not have the story, like I was just saying, the story that you have to just live under it because it's always that way. This is an antidote to that. The story that you have to fight them, this is an antidote to that.
Mm.
This is so I think in the very least, if I want to tone down the woo-woo as far as I can, in the very least, these stories persist through time because they, in fact, I just wrote about this in my newsletter today. This is really fucking trippy. They name the demons. They tell us the things to watch out for. The story describes the situation as a whole and gives us a key to find a way through. In this case, the cultivation of self, the following of intuition, the keeping the levels separate, going on the quest, doing what you know is right and true and good. And the more people that do that, the greater the likelihood, if we're in a wasteland type kingdom, that the illegitimate rulership will be overthrown. That's just it's giving us that whole pattern, that whole package in a very short little story, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so that's sort of what these kind of things mean to me and why I think they've stuck around is on some level we're aware of that, whether that's the divine keeping these stories alive, whether that's our unconscious recognizing the patterns and saying, no, no, this one's important, hold on to this one. It has some gold, it has something very useful, some useful meaning at its heart.
Yeah.
I think before we got on the call, we were talking about Vervaeke and meaning and all of that. And
Mm.
and there's a meaning here. There's a powerful psychological story that can motivate us that can motivate us and show us what the right thing to do is so that we actually believe we can do it and we know the steps to take or at least have a figure of inspiration to look after that
Yeah.
isn't somebody who's necessarily just running around punching everybody in the face.
Yeah.
Sort of
Yeah, I agree.
tough guy hero kind of a thing is what I mean.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I agree.